Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. I made a list of things that I think everyone should be doing, as I know a lot of people are not doing financially over the course of this year. A lot of times people believe and or think that they have more time than they actually do, and a lot of people are now being caught off guard because things that they probably should have done in 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22 they're still not doing. I know some of these things are going to sound completely insane, but we've had this conversation before, and a lot of other people, I think, still have not followed a lot of them. The first thing is going to be opening up an interest-bearing savings account. I know that sounds completely redundant and completely weird, but that's because a lot of people do not have them. A lot of people typically have a bank account, but they do not have an account that is specifically for them saving. A lot of people have been thrown off by the idea or the actual presence of inflation. So a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to have my money in the bank at all, but a lot of people out there still have their money in banks. Not everyone is going to be as brave as you and take all their money out of the bank account or put it somewhere else or put it under their mattress or hide it in the backyard and or transfer all of it into cryptocurrencies. There are a couple of banks that do offer a 2, 3, 4% interest rate over the course of the year, and you may say, well, that's still less than inflation, but it's still more than you are currently getting right now. 30% of Americans do not have any form of savings, whatever the case might be in their life. That is 1 out of every 3 people you walk by in the street has no money at all, and that's not even counting the people who are in some form of horrific debt as well. You need to begin to start to save money in some form or fashion. You do not know what the future is going to be like. You need to make sure that in the case of something happening, that you have some kind of money that is put away. Whether that is you trying to buy a house in the future, go on vacation, or the next topic that we're also going to be talking about. You have to save money. I know it sounds weird, but so many people don't. I have a lot of friends I know they are not watching who do not save a penny. They save nothing. A lot of them believe that when they get older, they'll be just, I'm not joking, they believe that they'll be just fine and that the government will actually save them and that their pensions will be enough. Pensions are not enough. Right now, you have to do something else. The second thing on the list is starting an emergency fund. And once again, there are so many people around the world who do not have an emergency fund. I do understand that I cannot say for every single specific person on the planet exactly how much money they have or do not have. However, if you happen to find yourself in a situation where you have a couple extra bucks left over at the end of the month, and instead of buying a new TV or buying your 15th pair of shoes or trying to put money down in the car that you don't need or doing anything else or anything else frivolous that you may be buying, you have to think further into the future. The world is just not right now. Think of where you were back in 2017. If you had managed to save 3, 4, 5,000 per year, how much money you'd have right now to be able to put down as a down payment and or invest or put that money any other place that you want. I understand the idea of wanting to live now, in the present, in the moment. I fight with this sometimes myself, but I told all of you in many other videos, I have knocked a lot of that out of my head because I do not want to be 90 years old and broke and have no money, can't afford a care home, can't afford any kind of medical anything. That does not sound nice to me in any way, shape, or form. Start an emergency fund. At the end of the month, even if it's something as simple as you putting away $50, $75, $100 at the end of the month, over the course of years, it is going to add up. There's a large portion of Americans as well who have no emergency funds. And I've noticed a lot of times in my life in particular, the people who I know, the ones who do not have an emergency fund tend to have a fairly okay amount of, I don't think the word is discretionary funds, but funds at the end of the month that could be used towards their future and or building some kind of a wall for protection, but they tend to go clubbing, they go to a lot of parties, they travel a lot to places that make no sense so they can post photos on Instagram. Not talking bad about my friends, but you understand. Because by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, you're going to be like, you'll have memories of these wonderful vacations, but then you're also like, I can't pay my rent and I have to ask my kids if I can sleep on their couch. Not being mean to anyone, but you know, these things can be avoided if you actually begin doing things now, especially if you are younger. A lot of times younger people forget that they're going to get older. I remember when I was in my young 20s and I was like, hey, I can do whatever I want. I can, you know, there's no real repercussions until you realize you get thrown into the real world and you're like, oh, I actually need money and I have to pay bills and I have to pay my taxes and I have other obligations. Start an emergency fund. This is very important. Get a savings account of some kind. Find a bank near you in some form or fashion that will give you an interest rate at the end of the year. Make it be something more than 1 or 2% and start an emergency fund because life is unpredictable. There will be emergencies. We've had them all before. If you're watching this channel, you've had at least 5 emergencies in your life. And then many other points you were like, oh, I wish I had more money than I currently do right now. Or you can, if you're preparing for the future. Number 3, and I say this in the most concrete way. After you have paid your light, your glass, your gas, your electric, any other bills you may have that I simply don't know that you have in your life, put any extra, not all of it. If you have $1,000 extra at the end of the month, I'm not like, let it ride. Put $150 into a market. I don't care if that's crypto. I don't care if it's stocks. I don't care if it's mutual funds. I don't care if, you know, you need to find something that is going to make you money and use this as an additional savings account. A lot of people don't know that. The money that you make from a lot of these markets, typically, after a year or 2, depending on where you're living in the world, you get tax benefits from actually, if you decide to withdraw that money. It counts as a long-term hold investment. There's a taxable difference between a short-term investment and a long-term investment. So something else that would be making you money, you get taxed lower on than if you had simply just put the money into it and then took it out immediately. There are so many other markets. I understand that crypto is not for everyone. It is a rough market to be in, and to be fair, so is the stock market. But historically, these markets have done incredibly well after time. You see the markets go down, the markets go up. You understand what I'm saying? I need you, if you have not already done so, to begin to get used to a market. I grew up with not a lot of money. We're not going to get into it. And I was always told not to get into markets because they were scams. And I realized that all that time, if I had put money into some form of a market, I would have learned at some point. The market went down, I lost money. I figured out the timing of things, how to put money, where to put money, etc., etc. We have to get out of this loop of having been born poor, not having a lot of money, or not having a lot of money right now and being afraid to do things. That's why I said $50, $75 at the end of a month after you've paid off everything else, to begin to learn about a market, to begin to be able to teach your kids about markets. Hey, I put $75 in per month in this market. Now, after 3 years, I have $5,000. You show your kids how it works, how they can make extra money, and this is how you actually build generational wealth. I know it seems really fantastic a lot of the times when we think of just, millions of dollars falling onto us, but a lot of people have no idea what to do with this money. I remember years ago I was asking friends, I love hypothetical weird questions like this. We were sitting in a diner, this was 1,500 years ago, and I was talking to my friends and I said, what would you do if someone gave you $10 million right now? Everyone was like, buy shoes, a house, a so-and-so. And I remember the main number one was like a mansion, buy a huge, gigantic house. And I was asking everyone, well, what do you like? What are the costs associated with the house? There are no costs. I don't have to pay rent anymore. And I was like, there are land fees. And there are land taxes, and there's extra taxes usually on top of the other taxes, and you have to pay for water, electricity, there's all these other things that come with it. You have to pay for the upkeep. Who's cleaning it? Who's doing all these other things? What happens if there's a tornado or like a rainstorm or something happens people don't, it's these kind of things. You have to, especially, and I'll say this to you quickly and then we can move on. If you are in the cryptocurrency market and you are currently in a position where you believe that over the course of the next couple of years, you could make a pretty good sum of money, I know the idea of simply buying a house and buying a Lambo and buying your girlfriend a necklace sounds amazing. Learn what to do with that money. Learn where to put it. Other ways to make passive income. I would definitely say do not immediately start a business. That is to say, don't walk up to a storefront, buy the storefront, and rent up the storefront out unless you already have previous business experience. A lot of people get money, think they can start a business, will make tons of money, and then it ends up collapsing after 3 to 4 years. It's a very, very common thing. Learn how the markets work. Learn how rich people make money. You can Google it. How do rich people make money? That's how I started in investing. I'm not joking. It was my friend bugging me that I should be doing something with money. And also I Googled, how do rich people get rich? How do they stay rich? How do they make money? It's passive income. You have to learn how the markets work. You have to. Like there's no longer a discussion of it as to if the government when you're 65 is going to be like, you didn't work or save all that time? It's cool. Bro, I got you. Don't even worry. We're going to give you an apartment. We're going to pay all your rent. Medical services, don't even worry about it. Someone chuckled, and it's because it sounds absolutely ridiculous because none of that is going to happen. You have to do it for yourself. I know it might seem scary. Get to it. You don't have, there's not a lot of, you see the world changing around us every single day, and people keep thinking that things are going to stay the same. Things are different from 2017. From 2017 to 2012, they're different. From 2012 to the year 2000, look at where we are now. You have to begin to do something. Number 4, it's the one that I love the most and everyone else doesn't like talking about it. You have to start planning for retirement. You have to start planning for retirement. You have to. You, right there, right now. I know it doesn't sound sexy or amazing or awesome, like, yeah, retirement, sitting on a beach when I'm 60 something. You know that right now, if you type in the words retirement crisis, your computer will nearly explode on YouTube. Why? Because there are going to be billions with a B of people on this planet who will never, ever retire. They will never retire. They will be working until they are in their 80s and their 90s and maybe even low 100s if they're lucky enough to still be working in a Walmart at that point. Why do I know this? Because it's currently happening right now. How else do I know that? Because I know retirement funds are quickly drying up by a lot of these companies and big people, and also the 401ks and all this other stuff, and a lot of people do not have their own money. These people did not save at any point. You would not believe the amount of videos that I've seen online, and it breaks my heart, but I keep watching them because I want to solidify in my own head exactly what's going on. These people have no money. They haven't saved, no retirement account, no retirement savings. Over the course of their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, they didn't try to buy an apartment. They bought no assets. They have nothing. Do you know how terrifying the idea of working until 90 years old is? Can you imagine? Can you imagine working until you are 90 years? Can you imagine working until you're 70? There was just recently, hear me out here. Very recently in the news, the entire thing that was going on in France, the whole thing where they were trying to raise the retirement age and people flipped. Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you know why it's necessary that they had to raise it? Listen, controversial. It's not actually, not at all. You know why they had to raise the retirement age? Because so many people in France have no pensions, low pensions, or aren't saving. It's insane. And the same exact thing is happening in America as well. This is why the retirement age, when I was a kid, I was told 60 to 62 was the number. It's now at 65, 67. Countries are thinking of raising it to 70 to 72. Why? Because people will need to live longer. The population is growing older and older and older. With all the medical science equipment and stuff that we have right now, people will be living past 100. It's a very common thing right now. I know it sounds completely insane. Think of all the times you've seen people living until 95, 96, 97. I have family members who are 101 years old right now. That is not a joke. My great-grandmother is still alive. She's 101 years old right now. Not a joke. These people, I don't know about my great-grandmother per se. I've never asked her about her finances. We never had that conversation, me and my grandmother. No retirement savings at all. The numbers will keep going up because more people will have to pay into the system for the people who are getting older and are soon going to be retiring. A lot of the jobs that previously before were actually pretty good for people and their retirement savings are currently dwindling because a lot of it is being taken over by AI. Nearly all of it. You need to think about the future right now, and I know there's one person whose heart's beating very fast. I'm talking about you. No one is going to help you but you. That is one thing that I had to learn very harshly in my life. And for my other friends who think that there isn't going to be a retirement crisis or a pension crisis, which there currently is right now, you would not believe how many people around the world have no pension savings or have been taking money from their pension or their retirement plans from their company because they're like, I want this money now. I've heard from two friends, who kept on telling me that every time that they had an opportunity to do so, they were taking money out of their retirement account because they were like, I want to do stuff now. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm young at this moment. I'm in my 30s. I want to go do so X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 blah. You know, when I'm 50, then I will worry about retirement. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck to you. I sat my friends down multiple times in other videos. One of my friends literally took out a book and turned away from me to read her book. I will never forget it. Will never ever forget it. You need to do something about retirement right now. Pay into some sort of system. Make sure that you're maxing out your retirement fund with your company. You have to make sure that you have some sort of money. You know, Google it. Google retirement crisis. YouTube it. Look at how many people have no money right now. You cannot be one of those people. You've been watching this channel and The Modern Investor, and you have no retirement savings. You have nothing put aside. You're not even preparing an emergency fund or a savings fund. What are you doing watching this channel? You have to put money away for your retirement because you might be even lucky and actually get a windfall of money from one of the markets that you're in, and you might actually be able to retire early. Yeah, doesn't that sound absolutely amazing? Do you want to work until you're 70 or 80 or 90? Probably not. The bones won't be feeling as good at that point. For those of you who find yourself in a particular situation, and I dare say for those of you who have the extra income and or are passionate and or want to have another notch on your belt, I would ask you to find a financial passion. So my financial passions are, and I made these up years ago and I stick to them, is I want to personally, this is me, I want to own several hundred pieces of art. I mentioned before in other videos, I've held up my portfolio book very as it's huge and gigantic, showing you the things that I have. I want to have hundreds of pieces, if not in the future, thousands of pieces of artwork, because at some point I want to pass these on to my kids. I collect from very famous artists. We're not going to go over the artists. I've made those videos before. You can definitely look it up. Also, every year I plan on, and I already do, buy a studio apartment, a small apartment in some sort of way, form, or fashion, so that accumulatively as time goes on, I'm building up my portfolio. Once again, I say for those of you who have some type of extra income, work towards something. And I'll even go so far as to say, look into like collectors' gold and silver. If you can't figure out really what to do, there are certain forms of gold and silver that actually do raise in value every year. A lot of them are like yearly stamped. There are certain ones that have animals and birds and other things on them. And the coins from 1992 are worth more than the coins made in 2023 because they have some type of a collector's value. So even if you find yourself just buying one or two pieces of silver for $40 per month, you know, as time goes on, they will be worth more because of the actual date stamp and the animal and all the other year of the tiger and things like that on them. Like, find some type of a passion, find something. It could be collecting art. A lot of people have recently got into collecting art. I've seen a lot of people telling me this on Twitter as well. Do something. You have to build up a portfolio. You have to build up something. You have to insulate yourself from the world that we are currently living in and how much worse things are going to get over the next couple of years. Sorry if I got a little intense in this video. It's one of my main passions, and I don't understand how other people aren't as passionate about being able to retire and or retire early and or having a huge amount of savings in some sort of way. You don't have to be rich to start moving the gear forward for you to become financially able and or rich and or stable over the next couple of years. I'm exhausted now. I hope you got something from this. I sincerely do. I do not want to hear in 10 to 15 years that a lot of people who've been watching this channel has got nothing out of it. You have to prepare for something. You see it's getting worse every single year. You see it's literally getting worse. every single year. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.